Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Deal Maker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Episode number 304. That was a little bit of a confusion. I was promoting all week that it was 303. It's like, damn, I forgot to put last week's title in my book, and I almost messed it up.
Oh, you missed last week's title.
Yeah. I have a book. I keep track of all the titles. So this week's title is called this. Would you rather be a sexy or rich rookie with creative real estate?
Okay. What does he mean, folks? What does he mean?
After coaching so many students, this is the description now. After coaching so many students, I have seen that each successful student hits this crossover point where they finally decide being sexy and looking good is not making them money. At this exact point, all of a sudden they become useful to their sellers, buyers, lenders, and family. I have also seen when this happens, most go on an information diet and shed the info glut they were blinded by for sometimes decades. Lastly, our society has some new, deep-rooted problem.
Oh, you think?
I stopped so you could say something, so I'm going to start over. Lastly, our society has some new, deep-rooted problem of people self-diagnosing themselves.
Oh, were you watching me yesterday?
SDT is what I call it. SDT.
Yeah,
self-diagnosing themselves.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was going to be self-diagnosing trauma or something.
Yeah, that could be too. For example, I have social anxiety, so I can't do that. But never being diagnosed by a doctor with this disorder. In today's podcast, we're going to put all the sexy and the excuses aside and dig into how to have the straightest path to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And this comes from my best mistakes I have ever made when coming through the rookie ranks myself.
Well, that's interesting. That sounds actually quite real when you put it that way. You know, the mistakes. That sounds like real reality there, folks.
I think it will surprise you, so be sure to listen in.
Hey, Bill, speaking of mistakes, I went to that real estate meeting in town last week.
Uh-huh.
It was half experienced guys and half real rookies. These guys had no clue. It was almost funny. I felt so knowledgeable. I was like, wow, I've made some progress. But the pros were talking about, like, hey, someday we should have like a mistakes contest. See who's done the worst mistakes. And everybody's getting real embarrassed, like, oh, I can beat you. I've done some Lulus. And these are lawyers, real estate people, people with property. Oh, yeah. And so nobody wanted to do it then because it's too embarrassing. But, oh, my God, that was a 5-minute conversation. The mistakes they made.
So this is not part of the podcast, but listening to you talk reminds me of, you know how sometimes you have something that hangs around in your head? You know, like you did something, and you're like beating yourself up, like I should have, and blah, 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 blah. And it hangs around sometimes days, weeks. For some people
Years.
in my life, I will name, will be nameless right now because she doesn't want me to talk about her on the podcast.
Well, she said that, huh? I'm going to tell her.
She has her friends at work listening to the podcast to see if we're talking about her.
Wow.
That would be my wife. Anyways.
Yeah, well, I'm the friend in the middle, so I'm like the monkey in the middle. I don't know where to tread.
2 years later, we'll be in some argument. She'll be like, "You remember her?" And she'll go right back to it. So,
well, I've told people for years, like when the girlfriend or the boyfriend, but usually the girlfriend because we're boys, is complaining about something, it ain't that. It's something probably the other boyfriend from 12 years ago. Sorry, back to the podcast.
Anyway, so
the
point is this: when something's hanging around like that in your head, all you need to do is turn it into a lesson.
Well, yeah.
Turn it into a lesson, and it will blow. It will go away.
Well, Bill, if not, it remains an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, let's do our housework. In the description of this podcast, I put a book in there. And this book explains in depth about what we're going to talk about today. Okay? And it's not my book. Okay? And I get nothing for it other than you being fully knowledgeable about what we're going to talk about today. So go in the chat, or go into I keep saying chat, go into the description of today's podcast and click on it and check it out. It's a really cool book. It's a short book. It's something you could read in an afternoon if you so desire. Okay? But it's very powerful. I read it several times a year. I just sent it to my son because he's having trouble finding a girlfriend, so I just sent it to him. It works for more than just real estate. Okay?
Okay.
So anyways, also, if you have not, please subscribe to our channel and give us a review. The best thing in the world you can do is go to Flipping Houses for Rookies. There is a bunch of free stuff. If you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies free stuff page, it says forrookies.com /free stuff, or just go to the website. There's 26 things that you can get on there for free to get you started. And it's a very exhilarating page to be on.
Bill, you know what's good about our free stuff?
What?
It actually works by itself. I mean, you can always get more data, absolutely, but the free stuff you've got on the site, you can actually just use. It's not like, oh, okay, I can't do that unless I click here and get more crap that I have to pay for. You can use it by itself.
Yeah, to me, it's truth or dare. My free stuff page is truth or dare. So I dare my people to go do this stuff. I dare. The reason why people ask me, in fact, I did a meetup last night, and I had an outrageous meetup last night. It was unbelievable because I did something completely different. I just went over deal structuring, and I reversed it. I gave the examples of the deals, and I had the attendees tell me how they would handle the structures. And it was really good examples. And by the end of it, they were like hitting it spot on. After an hour, they were like, I could do this deal, I could do that deal, I could do this deal. It was a great training session. In any event, what happens is they ask me, how come I give away so much information? And it's because most people, they don't do anything with it. They let life get in their way and they don't do anything with it. Yeah. And it's the application of the it's kind of like this. Learning what 2 + 2 is. Well, it's 4. Well, unless you associate that to $2 + $2, or 2 houses + 2 houses, or 2 girlfriends + 2 girlfriends, there's no application to the math. It's just 2 + 2 = 4. It's just
what good is that?
Yeah, right. So it is pretty incredible. All right, so Pete, I want to start today off by bringing out some of the biggest mistakes I've made.
Let's hear those, folks.
That cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost income, equity, and freedom.
Yeah.
First, it took me 18 months to find my first deal. And I got to tell you that 18 months might as well have been 18 years.
Oh, that's brutal.
Okay, so I want you to understand something. When I did this, I had just closed a business and I was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Okay? Yeah. And actually, they not exactly, but close to. They were close in time. I was in debt, is what I'm saying. And I was struggling. And I had the most neediness that I could ever think of in my entire life. Yep. And by now, so in this 18 months, throughout the 18 months, I had spent damn near close to $17,000 of borrowed money. Right? So I was paying for it every month.
Spent on the real estate?
On real estate. Yeah. I had a toolbox that was worth $40,000. I had spent over 40 grand to fill it. I was an auto mechanic, and I had spent over 40 grand in probably 10 years to build this toolbox.
Sure.
And I sold it for $7 grand cash.
Painful.
I took that $7,000 and I went into my office and I called Ron LeGrand's office and spent $5,000 for a seminar and the other $2,000 to get there and live and to do what I got to do.
Yep.
Right now, that's playing poker. Okay, so by now I had spent. So it's 18 months later. I had spent $17,000 doing all the sexy stuff. In other words, always putting how I could look good with sellers before worrying about the money. My ego was in the way. You know, like, God forbid, God forbid they well, not the way you think of, not like it is now. My ego is different now, but like back then it was like, God forbid they should think me as an amateur. Or God forbid I should say something wrong and they would ridicule me. Or they won't do business with me if I just say the wrong thing. I actually had this concept that I could put magic words together and it would hypnotize somebody all the way through the closing and give me a house. And that's how most rookies think. They think that if they just get the right script, if they just say the right thing, if they just do what Bill does.
Yeah, convince the person that, oh, you must know what you're doing. You
Right.
must be a professional. So I will do whatever you say. I'll listen to you. I'll believe you. So I'll sell to you because I like you and you're so smart.
Now, no disrespect to anybody that this is happening to, because it happens to all of us at stage one. But I will say, being the conservative guy I am, and very passionate guy, and very warm-hearted guy, and not worrying about hurting somebody's feelings.
Choke.
The realtors are the ones that design this, because any realtor you see, they're all worried about driving their Mercedes and having a suit on and, presenting themselves. They tell you what clothes to wear. I mean, you watch me dress. I am definitely not a fashionista. I am far from a fashionista. I mean, the only good thing about me is I comb my hair. I shower every morning and I comb my hair when it's wet, and it always looks like I got grease in it, but I don't. It's just because I comb it when it's wet and it looks that way all day. Other than that, there is nothing. I mean, I shave and I keep myself clean, but I am not a fashionista. Right? Yep. And my weight goes up and down, and there's nothing good about my physical appearance. So I gave up on that a long time ago. I don't need a fancy car. I drive a 2015 Nissan Versa Note. When I bought it, it had 40,000 miles on it. Now I paid cash for it. Right? And I still drive it. I have 3 cars, right? I have a truck, and my wife's car, right? I'm not a fancy guy, okay? The only thing that I'm fancy about, and I don't even mean to say this, it's just because I like them, is my cigars. I smoke $10, $15 cigars, okay? Other than that, you know me, Pete. I am not fancy at all, right?
No, you're real. You're real as a heart attack, and and if it seems strange to walk into a house with you and you got your flippity-floppities on and stuff, and your shirt not tucked in, it doesn't actually matter.
My shirt's never tucked in.
No, it doesn't matter at all. You talk to people, and I don't even know what they're thinking or not thinking, but all they're thinking about is the house, what you're saying, and you go like, yeah, you're right, I'll sell to you, or no, I don't want to, and that's the end of it. But it really doesn't matter.
It's not fancy. Let's be honest. I don't need all this sexy stuff, is what I'm saying.
Folks, you want to, here's my musician's analogy. If you ever saw pictures of the Beatles before they were the Beatles, they were dressed up with slick back hair, leather jackets. They look like frickin' hoodlums. And then they get all dressed up in the nice suits because they got their manager, and they're on stage and got these Beatle suits and ties, and they look slick with their Beatle boots. They look stunning. And a few years later, they're in their jeans, and the Rolling Stones are in their jeans. And then guys are in shorts, baggy T-shirt, and flippity-flops in major bands like Nirvana and stuff, making bazillions, and nobody cared. They look like just Joe off the street, and they don't even look good. Like, what the hell's the difference?
Yep. Johnny Cash says, "Yo, real estate freaks, good morning." The joke's on him. We're here, and he joined us. So who's the freak, him or us?
Oh, God.
All right.
Where were we?
All right. So by now I spent $17,000 and doing all the sexy stuff. In other words, always putting how I could look with sellers before worrying about the money or helping the sellers. By the way, the money comes last. It always comes last. It always comes last. I have a couple coaching students because I've been doing 5 times a week. I do coaching calls now, 5 times a week. It's killing me, and I get on the phone for an hour and a half, and I make live seller calls. Mm-hmm. And they watch me. I make their calls. I make my calls. We do live seller calls. It's part of the coaching now, right? Mm-hmm. And it's killing me because it's a lot of work. But everyone says the same thing, starting with you, because you're the second rookie. Remember, we were informed about that, right?
I know.
I thought you were the first rookie until Jessie came along, my oldest daughter, and said, no, right on the podcast, I'm the original rookie. I'm like, whoa!
and that's fine. Jessie's a wonderful, wonderful, sweet girl. So she should be first because she is, and she's your daughter. I will gladly stand in back of that.
Thank you. So everybody says the same thing. I can't believe how easy it is, how you just talk to them, how it's just how they respond. It's how natural it is, So,
yeah.
Anyways, so back then I was thinking to myself, while making offers, there is no way the seller is going to do this. So the sexy stuff, like I was worried about the words and the presentation and how I'm going to say it and the flow of the information and how to handle the objections, and I was stuck on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Not really worrying about what I was saying. I was just saying it because I was desperate for the money.
Sure.
Right? So I would say this stuff and I would not worry about. So I would think to myself, there's no way, especially subject to, who would do this? Why would he do this? Why would he do this?
That's so weird.
Right?
You tell us that stuff, but you actually, your head was there too once, huh?
I went through that too. That's how I know it. That's how I can talk about it. All the stuff that I talk about, if you realize, if you're around me enough, you realize this shit is for real because I just pull it out of my head.
Yeah, but I wasn't with you then when you were really kind of trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
So my first deal after 18 months, my first deal was with 2 kids that were 18 years old and 21 years old. Okay? The parents had passed away and they inherited this house. Now get this. 2 kids, 2 boys, and about 16 or 18 dogs.
I remember some of the story.
Lived in this house. And it was a true ugly house. The basement alone. We spent 2 weeks and 3 guys in the basement. There was a 2x4 stood on edge and plywood on top on the floor. Right? So the 2x4 stood on edge, the long way.
Yeah,
from
to
top
be
to
sturdy.
Bottom, to be sturdy.
Yeah.
And they put 3/4 inch plywood over the top of it, and that was the floor, on top of the concrete floor. That was the floor of the basement. Okay. And these 16 or 18 dogs pissed all over this and shit all over it, and it just stunk to high heaven. It took me weeks and a lot of study to figure out how to get rid of that urine smell. We did all kinds of things. Enzymes. I actually had a scientist come in one time. Actually, Jay.
Yeah, Jay the scientist. He's
the scientist come in.
He's a doctor-trained scientist guy.
And we finally got it close, right? But we worked hard. Now, I'm in this house, and I'm pitching to them subject to, because back then I didn't know anything else. There was nothing else. I knew subject to because Ron LeGrand taught me subject to. Right?
But what did you do if somebody said, I don't have a mortgage?
Exactly. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do.
That's funny. That's such a good deal, but you didn't know what to do. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So I pitched subject to because that's what Ron LeGrand taught me, right? And they if they were not closed on the idea, and I didn't know what to do. If they didn't like subject to, I didn't know what to do. And when I look back on it now, I can't tell you how many deals I walked away from.
Of course, in 18 months, of course. Well, it's funny you say that because most people try to do wholesale because, you just buy something for free, sell it for free.
18 months, my ass. This was my first couple. This was after I did my first deal. My first deal was subject to. After the 18 months, I went 2 or 3 years only pitching subject to. That was it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
But at least you got some of those.
Right? Then it happened. Right? Then so let's go back to the deal. So I'm in the house, I'm pitching subject to, and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it happened. It was like a ray of light. This is my first deal.
Yeah.
This chick walks in. She's like 22 years old and like a model. She was stunning. My jaw dropped. She was absolutely model perfect.
Wow.
Stunning looking girl. And acted like it.
Yeah, well, of course.
Okay? And so she listens to the last section of my presentation, the summary, right? So she gets the summary of how the deal could happen. And all she hears is in 2 weeks.
That's right.
So I leave the house, not having them closed. I leave the house, like, wondering, like, because I'm rambling all over the place, and I'm this and that, and I'm scattered. And I'm not doing a good job. And I look back at it now, and I could say that. Back then, I was thinking I was doing a real good job, right? I get to the car in the driveway, my car, and I turn around, and there she is standing next to me. And my heart was pumping because I'm like, uh-oh.
Well, did you think she's asking for you for a date?
I didn't know what she wanted. Well, I was a married guy with 2 kids, so that wasn't going to happen. But the point is, I had no idea why she was there. Like, was she pissed off? I had no idea.
Yeah.
She tells me, call back tomorrow, and he'll sign the paperwork.
Wow.
I'm like, okay.
So that's the girlfriend, and she's in a house, stinks of piss with 17 dogs and the frickin' brother. Like she needs this aggravation. She's a model. You better take good care of her.
She closed the boyfriend to come live with her, I believe, and he got rid of the house.
Yeah.
And that made me a believer instantly on subject 2. I made 68 grand on that house. Because I broke all the rules. I renovated the house, right? Because I owned a gas station at the time, right? I owned a gas station, and I had all these customers that would come in. I used to pump 130,000 gallons a month, and it was all full service. And all these customers, contractors, they all came in. I just started calling them.
Yeah.
Right? I had it renovated, and at the end of the renovation, actually Jay, the guy we were just talking about, was doing part of the renovation, and he made a mistake with there was tile plywood, plywood that looks like tile, and he cut it wrong, which is common for Jay, right? So he cut it wrong, and I asked him if I could have the piece of plywood. He said, sure, and I spray painted on there house for sale, owner financing or something. I don't know what I put on there. House for sale, no bank qualifying, whatever. 2 days later, a realtor called me and asked me if I would do a co-broke deal, and I had no idea what it was, and I said, sure, how does it work? And I sold the house. I made 68 grand, right? Now, that's mistake number 1.
Yeah, but what's the revelation you had?
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
So the revelation is that subject 2 works. Now all of a sudden I'm not just repeating what somebody else told me to say. Now it's real to me. It happened in front of my eyes. It was real, and people say yes because it was really helping them. It was what they wanted. That was the revelation. Is it wasn't an offer, it was true help. It wasn't money, it was true help. It wasn't the deal, it was true help.
Did you learn something from the girl, like her motivation or her reason?
I didn't need to, because I just noticed that motivation made the deal. Because the boy was motivated by her, whatever she was promising him, and we won't go there in this family podcast.
Well, no, it's probably like, you do this or I'm going to find a new boyfriend because your house stinks.
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
I would imagine that however she convinced him may or may not have involved clothes, okay? So we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Now this brings me to mistake number 2 that cost me more than hundreds of thousands of dollars. See, back then, back in the day, Meriden, Connecticut was my farm market. I lived in Wallingford. Meriden was one town over.
Yep.
And now listen to me, because this is a long time ago. Listen to me carefully, because this is the truth. I had Robin Thompson and Than Merrill as my competition. Okay? This was before they were national speakers and gurus. Okay?
Yep.
So I went a few years making just subject to offers while Robin and Than made their sexy cash offers. And I was losing deals. Even though even though my deal was better, they wanted cash. They wanted the mortgage out of the name, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, this mistake was not knowing now my slot deal, option deals, owner finance deals, wrap mortgages, rent to own, all those things that I figured out later on. But this was the catalyst of leaving houses and being in my car, sometimes with an acquisition manager that I was training, because I had one way early, right? Saying, why didn't we get that deal? Why did they say no? And we would dissect every deal. Now picture this. Back then, there weren't cell phones like there are now. So we used to bring tape recorders in our pocket after a while. This is when I started taping myself. And then cell phones came out. We used to have a device that we would click in the bottom of the phone that would record the calls.
Oh.
It wasn't like it is now. And that's when I started figuring out, when I started listening to myself talk, when I started figuring out what I needed to do. Okay? So my first mistake was just not believing what I was saying, just using the scripts just to get money. Like, if I say this, somebody will believe me and they'll sell me the house.
Yep.
And then not believing what I'm saying, not being careful enough, careful, not like be careful, but having passion, caring about it.
Yeah, caring enough.
Right? And not believing myself that they would do it. And then the second mistake was only making one offer because that's all I knew.
Sure.
And I didn't work hard enough on that. Okay? Okay. So, because cash was king, Than Merrill and Robin Thompson were winning because I was getting my ass kicked. Going months to find a deal. And then when I found and made a deal, all the profits would have to pay for the debt that I whacked up when I didn't have deals.
Mm-hmm.
So I go 3 months without a deal, and then I would make a deal, and then all that money would have to pay back that debt.
Yeah, you were catching up. You weren't getting ahead yet.
Right. And then if you start laying awake at night wondering if the electric and water will be on when you wake up in the morning, you stop worrying about how you look, and you start worrying about making good offers and doing deals. That's the problem with most of my listeners and most of my rookies, is they don't burn the ships when they hit the island. And that old story, right? The captain that has the army, and he goes up to the island, and he's got to conquer the island, and the enemy's on the island, and he tells his troop to burn the ships, and they're like, "How come?" And he's like, "Because either we're going to win or die." And if you don't have that attitude about anything you do in life, then it doesn't work.
Yep.
All right, so that's my story. So here are some of the recaps of lessons I learned, and still guide me today. This is not all of them. This is just what came to my mind when I was writing this. Okay,
Sure.
And it's not going to be what you think, because a lot of it is inner core.
Oh.
Okay, So are we okay with that? We're good with my story? There's no holes in it?
No, it's really real. You talk about, how stupid us rookies are half the time. But now we understand it's because you were too.
Yeah. That's the only reason why I know about it, is because I did it myself, right?
Sure.
So number one, me as a spiritual being, way down deep inside, have one innate ability, and we're all the same. If you're human, you have this innate ability. To give life or not to give life, two things. We are the generator of life. That's what I believe. Now, I understand that some people believe that God is a generator of life, which I believe in that too. But I also believe that you're here and now and making things happen.
Sure.
So you have the ability to give life or not give life. This is also called attention. And I have found knowing what and what not to give life to works. Like, if I feel fear, I don't need to give that life. or attention. I can put it aside and not fuel the fear, and if I don't fuel it, it won't grow.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting, because I've had conversations like that with maybe you, but with other people. And I've heard other people talk like everybody knows this one. You get an idea, like, I want to be successful at something. I want to win the lottery. I hope she says yes to go out with me. You name it. And what happens at the same time? The opposite thought shows up, right?
Yep.
Counters it. Huh?
And it counters it.
Yeah, the opposite. It's the opposite. And the smartest thing I heard is like what you're saying. Like, you can't fight it, because if you push on it, you're saying it's there. If you fight it, you're saying it's there. You have to just not give it any life, give it any credibility. Just drop it.
So the more you think about fear, the more you're going to get. Like if you have debt or bills, it's like, I gotta do this house because I gotta pay my bills.
Yeah.
You're feeding the bills fuel. You'll get more bills because that's what you're putting your attention on. You're feeding life to the problem, not the solution.
Yeah.
Right? And you're giving it. You're giving your thoughts more energy. Yep. You control your thoughts. Nobody else does. Right? I'm going to be really weird for a second. I have a little short guy. Right? It looks like, what is his name? Yosemite? What is his name? The little guy with the hat on?
Yosemite Sam.
Yeah. He looks just like that, with cowboy boots on and a machine gun. And in my head, when I have a thought that I don't like, Yosemite comes in and he blows up those pictures. They're like glass pictures, like shooting at glass, and they shatter.
Oh my God.
And that's what I do. When I have those pictures, I just shatter them. And I don't feed them life. I'm like, not only do I not feed them life, but I blow them up. Now, it's kind of weird. I understand that, but that's what I do.
Yeah, however you do it, I think I just turn my attention on what I want to do, and I let it drift away. So however you have to do it, don't fight it. Don't give it more energy. Don't put fuel on it. I talked to a guy last week. Somebody I was trying to help. Somebody referred me. Why don't you talk to Pete, because I help people sometimes. And the guy said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm making a mountain over everything. If the car needs repair, it's the end of the world for me. If somebody's late for something, it's the end of the world for me. And he was so far down the rabbit hole, I couldn't reach him. He was lost. It was amazing how much he was fabricating horror in his life that didn't exist. The car's broken, just go fix it.
Right.
Big deal. But to him, it was the end of the world. And it was like, I felt bad for him because it was just so unnecessary. And he knew it was crazy too.
Yep.
He's having a hard time stopping it.
The amazing thing is, it's just a decision.
Yep.
Right? And all the decision is do I or don't I want to give it life? If you make that one adjustment in your head. So what I do, I'm going to get in this in a few minutes. What I do is when I talk to sellers, the first couple of minutes, I'm deciding whether I want to give this seller my life, my attention, my resources. Do they deserve it? Because I know that I have something that most people don't have to offer. And if you're listening to me right now and know anything about creative real estate, so do you, because most people don't know this. Most people wouldn't listen to a podcast about creative financing or creative real estate, right? They sell 1 or 2 houses a year in a lifetime, and that's it. You do hopefully 1 a month. So you need to study this stuff. You need to know it. So you bring a lot to the table. So I decide, should I put life into this seller or should I whack him?
Yep.
Right? Try it. You'll be amazed. Number 2. Knowing clearly if I need a deal or just want a deal. By not being needy, you will be more charismatic. Relationships will improve, and you will attract people and opportunity into your life.
Yep.
Allow other people to do what other people do and trust them. Know your boundaries, right? Know what you don't know, right? Neediness instantly kills these. The charismatic, the relationships, attracting people in your life. Neediness instantly kills these. And your ability, excuse me, and your ability to influence shuts off much like a dining room light switch. Neediness instantly kills these relationships, charismatic, how to improve, how to attract other people, and your ability to influence others shuts off like you shut off a dining room light with a switch.
Yep. Not even a dimmer. Goes all the way off, right?
Right. Put life into your goals, your interests, and your desires. And then start lining up sellers or just people with or with not them aligning to you. This is how to build confidence very quickly. Now, I always talk about putting yourself in line with progress. Right? So, your goals, let's talk about that. Your goals and your mission should not be self-inflicted. They shouldn't be all about how you get something out of it. It should be more like if everybody comes into this deal, if there's 4 people, you and I were talking about this yesterday because I'm talking about putting some software together, right? And I'm talking about building a team. And right away, I'm complaining to you about some people that would be really good at it, but I don't feel like they bring anything to the table. They're not bringing life to the table. They just want what they want, and that's it. You know people like this. You work with people like this. They're all over the place. They're selfish. They only care about themselves. And you don't want that. You want people, I'm going to tell you, out of all the things that I ever read, about 6 months ago I read this, all the things that I ever read and studied, and you know that I've done a lot. I've done a lot on administration, on organizations, on communication, on sales, on real estate, all kinds of things, right? I used to lecture every Tuesday night. For 60 minutes, I would do a lecture every Tuesday night on business administration for 10 years.
Yep.
So I studied this stuff, right? And I didn't know this datum. You know what makes a good executive?
I think so, because we've talked.
What is it?
Somebody who cares.
That's right. In fact, I just stumbled on this book because I was in another coaching group, and they're talking about this. In fact, I started reading it. I just started reading it, and I either want to buy it for you or have you buy it. It's called The War of Art.
Yeah, not the art of war, the war of art.
Have you heard it and seen it?
No, you were talking about it Monday night on the coaching calls. That's when I first heard about it. Yeah, which is interesting for me because I'm an artist, so the war of art would be something I should read.
And he's talking about all these things, and I haven't read the books, which I'm sure once I start reading it, you guys will be hearing it on the podcast. But here's my point: if your life goals, if your goals and mission are pro-survival, in other words, they affect the most amount of people that are involved.
It's not just for you; it's pro-survival for you, the group, people, your family, whoever you're with.
Society, your city, as much as you can do. So if it could be for you, like you said, your family, your business, mankind, the environment, like buildings and cars and you as a spiritual being and your religion, if it can help all of that, it's a good decision. So it's the greatest number of all those things that will help you do a pro-survival decision. If it helps all those, and I'll say it again, yourself, your family, your business, or your group that you're part of, right? Mankind, the environment you're in, your office, the desk, the city, right? You as a spiritual being, and your religion. If it can help all of those things, it's a good thing. Like, I know one of the things that I do is I make a lot of money. I give a lot of money away too. I give a lot of charity to our church. Right? I believe in that. So it's not, to me, it's not just about how many millions I have. It's what can I do with that money once I have it? How much energy can I create? How much life can I build around me that's better?
Yeah. See, I look at it that if you flow in those directions, something has to flow back. If you try to pull everything into you, me, something will suck it back out, because flows go both ways.
Yep.
And if you're not sure, go listen to George Harrison's song "I Me Mine." I me mine.
So how does this relate to real estate? Well, you as a person, when you feel this way and you have these core values and you're speaking to somebody, it just leaks out of you. Yeah. Because you're doing it for the greatest good. You're not doing it for any other reason. You're not just using the script because I told you to use the script. You're not just using the script to try to buffalo somebody or swindle them into saying yes. Yeah. You really mean it, and you're really trying to help them, and they feel that. They know that. You know, the word perceived means communication without voice or without noise. It's the feelings, it's the anger, it's the happy, it's the body motion, it's the energy you're giving off is perception. It's all those devices that you feel when you're around someone. Yep. That's perception. And the perceptions you give off are way more powerful than the words you use. And that's the trick. That's the trick. Right?
But back to your point, if you actually care, there is no script or instructions how to do it. You just care. I mean, I think I just did probably the most powerful thing I can do with a lady, which I'm trying to buy a house with us from. And it's going back and forth. Her ex-husband's trying to fix it up a bit because he's stubborn. I said, I'll buy it just the way it is. Just let me go see it. I said, no, he's got to fix this and paint it and put the counter. Oh, my God. By the way, you know anybody who can help us hang mirrors? I could have said, no. But I said, hang on a minute. Oh, I got a guy in your area, and I gave her the number. And I said, sorry about how your husband's driving you nuts. She goes, I think I'm going to start drinking again. He's driving me. And Pete, if you come to see the house, bring a bottle of Advil. He's going to give you a headache. Yeah. It was like that. And I was just empathetic. And I gave her the name of the guy, and she said, you brighten my day.
Nice.
Now, I wasn't trying to kiss up to her or anything. I was just being nice. How hard was it to look at my phone and give her a phone number? But
which, by the way, you bring up a good point. Kiss up to her. It can't be fake. No. You can't pretend. You can't be an actor like on TV. See, here's one of the biggest problems with our society today.
Yeah.
We get influenced by a television. Mm-hmm. And what makes television? Actors and actresses. Mm-hmm. It's not real. It's fake. But they're so good at it, they make it look real.
Yep.
And they're influencing our children and us. Even the newscaster. They're scripted by what somebody else wants them to say, and they get paid more and more money on how well they can act it and make you believe it's real.
Yep.
All right, number 3. Ruthlessly knock people off the pedestal. Don't worship people you want to be or become. It's okay to want to be like them as a goal, but don't worship them. Now, I've talked about this in other podcasts. The best thing you can do is you could be strict with your behaviors, not your results. You want to lose weight, you don't say, I want to lose 50 pounds. You start with, I better not eat that cupcake. Mm-hmm. And I need to get up tomorrow morning at 7 instead of 8, and I need to go to the gym. You need to control things that you have control over. Right? So when I'm talking about here, when I say don't worship people, maybe you worship their behaviors, but not the people. Mm-hmm. Right? Here's why. When they are on a pedestal, in your mind, not theirs. Sometimes, I have friends, which we won't talk about, but they think they're on the pedestal and they're constantly looking down on me. You're slaving to their mission, not yours. Just don't give your power of giving life away by putting them on a pedestal.
Yep.
You're allowed to have your own missions, your own goals. You're allowed to have your own feelings. You're allowed to help people. Help is the human being's number one problem. People have so much trouble with help. Yeah. They either can do it too much or they can't do it too little. That balance of how much you help people is always going to bug you, because if you're not making any money, you'll think, I'm helping too many people. I need to get stiffer. I need to get stronger. I need to be a little meaner, right? And then if you're too mean, then you start thinking to yourself, if you're cognizant of it. Some people are not cognizant of it. They're so far introverted. They're so far inside of themselves. They have no idea there's a world out there that even exists and that they're affecting anybody. Mm-hmm. But if you can actually pull yourself out and say, I could help somebody a little bit more. Help is a big pay for a spiritual being. Yeah. You as a person help. Why do you think religion is so good? Religion in our society, no matter what it is, Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, it doesn't matter. Religion works so well in our society because A, you can help, and B, it keeps your ethics in. It keeps you as a person good. It keeps reminding you that you need to be good and don't go astray.
That's really, really, really important.
Right? So what if they had $1 million house? They most often, right, did not make the money to buy that house with creative real estate.
True.
They might be the owner of a bank, CEO of a bank, or have some other business. So in other words, they made the money some other way, right?
Sure.
So they don't know the subject of creative financing like you do.
I see where you're going.
Just because they have $1 million house doesn't mean that you should be cowering down to them, thinking that you don't have two pennies to a pot to piss in and two nickels to rub together.
2 pennies to rub together.
Right? So just because they have $1 million house, don't cow down to them. Know that you're bringing something to the table. Now here's the interesting thing. When I talk to these people, they get it quicker. They're more savvy because their job is to move money around, and their job is to understand money because they have a lot of it.
Yeah, but you know what else? Their job was also to keep it. When you don't have money, you don't think. The first thing I did when I got a deal or two, and I had actual chunks of money, like, holy crap, Mary, what do we do with the money? Like, right. Holy Jesus, how do we hang on to this?
Right.
And they have money, so they have to think, how do I hang on to it? How do I make it work for me or make more out of it? Not just get, I just want cash in my pocket right today. They actually understand that.
Most of our rookies listening to us right now are no different than lottery winners. They make $1 million and a year later they'd be broke. Mm-hmm. Because they don't spend the time on the things that we're talking about. Why would we be talking about this profound stuff on a creative real estate podcast? Because this is where it's at. This is what nobody else is worth. It's not sexy enough. This is not seminar material. People would not pay $5,000 to come to a seminar to hear this.
But this is what the guys who know what they're doing and have the money, this is what they know and this is what they do, right?
Yeah, so that's why when you want to hear about, you want to talk to successful guys and you want to pull back the curtain. I get offers all the time. Bill, I want to work with you. Can I do a deal? I'll work for free. Can I just see what you do? Well, this is the stuff that I do. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm telling you right now, right? Mm-hmm. So you have this guy with this $1 million house, right? If you have them on a pedestal, they can only look down on you, right? Mistreat you, belittle you, or just be a dick to you, right? The only thing you should put on a pedestal is your mission, interest, and desires. Nothing else. So if this person is mistreating you and looking down at you, you don't have to deal with them. You don't have to put life into that. You don't have to even argue with them. You don't even have to be right. You don't even have to justify why you're giving your offer. Just say, sorry, I can't do business with you, and hang up.
Yeah.
Right?
I like your line. He goes, I'm sorry, that doesn't fit our program.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, oh, we have a program. But it's true. This is what we do. And you might as well call it that. I'm sorry, this doesn't fit our program. Good luck.
So I know we're almost out of time, and I have a couple more pages here. So just take a minute and just explain, and don't do a long thing. But the first time we were in a house, and I walked in after you found a deal, and you worked hard to find this deal, and we did all the due diligence, and we walk in the house, and in the first 3 minutes, I say, I'm not your guy.
Okay. I'm not sure which one that is, but I think there's one I thought of. It's in Newington, right down the street from me. Yeah, it was 3 minutes in the house. He was a landlord. He had like 5 houses, and his knees were getting busted up, and he's just getting tired of doing the work. And he's thinking, oh, well, maybe I should start selling these things. When you're talking a few minutes, in 3 minutes, you go, I think I'm your guy. And I just tried not to move or make a face or anything, just like shut up and just see what he does next. But then what happened was, the guy goes, well, and the conversation continued. But
so I withdrew because he's trying to bang me over the head and give him all. He's trying to get me to bring him a bag full of cash.
Yep.
He wants it all on his side. He doesn't care about me. See, sellers are like that. Sellers are asking what they want, not considering where you're going to get the money from. Not that you have to go to a bank or get approved or have an inspection and do all the legal stuff. They aren't thinking of that. They just are only thinking of themselves.
Oh,
so you need to bring them up.
The shoe fits on their foot too, huh? The thinking of yourself only. Yeah. Well, Bill, imagine the seller who only cares about himself and a buyer who only cares about himself. No wonder things don't work some days.
Right, exactly. So you have to be strong enough and stand above that to get the guy through it. You're like a social worker at some point, right? You need to go through the psychology that they're going through. You need to go through the scale of going from apathy up through anger into antagonism up into cheerfulness, right? That you just need to get them up the scale so you can talk to them. And sometimes that takes work. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be a psychologist, and I'm not even saying that you need to go off and do all that kind of stuff. You know, what I am saying is that if you talk to enough people, you'll start to notice the same things happen all the same. Every single seller is the same in my head. And when you realize that all sellers are the same, then you don't need to learn 100 million things because every seller is different. All sellers are the same. You'll hear the same things over and over and over again. You know, Pete, just as another side note, this cracks me up because I've been doing every single day in the coaching, right? And if in the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery, I've been inviting those guys too. So if you're in the Deal Hunting Monthly Mastery, which is $97 a month, you could be on these coaching calls presently. It won't stay that way forever. I get on the calls, and one of the things that I'm being a jerk about is I'll say a couple times a week, I'll say, gee, why aren't you guys making calls? Right? Because you just saw me make calls for 45 minutes and nobody picked the phone up. What are you afraid of? Leaving a message?
Yeah, some days nobody answers, but you're dialing, man. You're dialing.
So what are you afraid of? And then what happens is you leave messages for 45 minutes or an hour, and you do that for a day or two, you all of a sudden it switches, like you were talking about outflow equals inflow. So the outflow is too much and you're like, all I want to do is just talk to somebody. It switches your mind switch. You trick your subconscious mind into wanting to talk to somebody because you just leave messages. To think that one phone call could make you 10, 20, in our case, sometimes $90,000 or $100,000.
Yeah, and it's just any one single phone call. So it's like, hey, where's that phone number? Where's that number? That could be the one. Like, oh, yeah. I lost it. That could have been the one.
Exactly.
So you try to keep on top.
Number 4 and final one for today: not being sexy or nice sometimes. In other words, worrying about what the other person's thinking about you more than what you think about yourself.
Yeah.
If you expect the world to be fair with you because you are fair, you're only fooling yourself. Sellers want what sellers want. They don't care about you. Yep. Right? So if you expect the world to be fair with you because you're fair, you only are fooling yourself. That's like expecting a lion to not eat you because you didn't eat him first. Now, I'm not talking about being shrewd or unfair or even impolite. What I'm talking about is, and what I get complimented for by my coaching clients all the time when they hear me on the phone talking to sellers, is these things. Okay, there's a few of them. I lay down my boundaries for what is and is not acceptable by me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm stern. I'm not mean. I'm just stern. I lay down my boundaries. Like, I want all cash and I want to close next week and I want all the money. I don't want to pay closing costs. I don't want to pay fees. I just want my $300,000. That is not acceptable to me. That is a boundary I'm not going to accept. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, I'm not your guy. See you later. Oh, whoa, wait. Because I know the only thing that they want from me is an offer. They want to see if my thinking matches their thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I lay down boundaries. I'm polite about it, but I'm stern about the boundaries. I don't let people push me around. Mm-hmm. Okay? Number 2, and I don't have them numbered, but another one. I eject those who are against what I'm feeding life to.
Sure.
My interests, desires, and my mission. I have found these folks always turn out to be toxic in my life. Mm. Now, there's a lot of people in this world, Pete. You don't have to deal with family members and people people at the church. There's a lot of churches. There's a lot of people. Now, I understand that you can't change family. You're stuck with them. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to talk about your deep-seated beliefs, and you don't need to get their agreement. Yep. You think when I was broke back then, owing hundreds of thousands of dollars, my family wanted to hear about how I was going to go off and buy real estate? How the hell are you going to do that? You don't have any money. You need to fix your problem.
Yeah.
I fixed my problem. I made $68,000. And I got the screaming memes off my back so I could go work. Which, by the way, that's a valuable lesson in itself, and I shouldn't be saying this right now. But one of the things I did back then, is I took the troublemakers, all the bill collectors and all the problems. I went to an attorney and I gave him $3,000 to negotiate all my debt and deal with all my problems.
Wow. As
a retainer. And anybody that called me, I said, I have an attorney, call him. And let him deal with the not pro-survival people, the
negative noise, because that wouldn't be helpful.
And I concentrated on how to make money. I let him deal. I put it in the back room. I dealt with it because I gave it to my attorney and let him deal with it. And all I did was just deal with how do I make more money, the pro-survival things, not the negative things.
Yep. Okay? Yep, that's smart.
All right. So another one that I did. I have and hold to my standards. Now, you guys hear about my standards all the time because I'm always teaching you what my standards are. I'm doing it today. What are my standards? I have and hold to my standards and give my time, attention, love, help, resources, and assistance to those that have the same or close to me standards. Just like we are looking for a prospect. We're not making a prospect. We're looking for a prospect.
Right.
Right? I'm not trying to convince my wife to be in my business. My wife has no idea what I do. She doesn't, and you know that. She knows I buy and sell real estate, and she finds these properties and sends them to me, and I don't even call them. Because they're so far out of the realm, it's like unbelievable. She stopped doing it because I tell her I don't call them.
I was thinking, she can't be still doing it. Okay.
Right? But here's the point. I have and hold to my standards. My standards are creative real estate, helping people. My number one foot is helping people. I help my sellers that can't sell a house normally. I help my buyers that can't buy a house normally. I help my lenders who want quick cash and high interest. And I help myself by doing the deals and my family. It's all help, help, help. Those are my standards. I worry about that first. I worry about the money and the properties later, right? The properties are the last thing that I qualify. I qualify the seller. Are they close and hold the same standards I do? Are they willing to do a owner finance with me for 10 years? I'm marrying this person for 10 years. I can't have conflict with them and have them be opposite of me, like I'm Republican and they're liberal, or I'm liberal and they're Republican. You can't have that. You have to have things alike. There has to be some reality there, some affinity there. Otherwise, you can't communicate.
Yep.
Right? Make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
So I have and hold my standards and give my time, attention, love, help, resources, and assistance to those that have the same or close to it. Right? I do this with my coaching clients. If the coaching clients are trying to do something, if they're trying to do a deal, then I do everything I can do to help them. But if they're not trying, and I just kick them out.
Yeah.
You know, and there's coaching clients that have left me because they think that it's too much money. No, it wasn't too much money. They weren't trying hard enough, or they weren't listening, or they weren't doing the things I was telling them to do. Sure. So they're leaving because they transgressed against my standards. That's why they leave coaching, is they transgressed against my standards. They don't want to do it my way or think my way doesn't work for them. They don't realize that they transgressed against my standards. They didn't dig in and find out what they really need to do, and they didn't burn the ships to make sure it would really work. That's why they leave. Mm-hmm. Here we go. And you know this. I never respect someone who doesn't respect me back. I'm selfish with who I decide to help. This is new for me because I used to want to help everybody.
Oh, yeah, I remember. We've had conversations about that.
I'm selfish with who I decide to help. I don't give a quarter to anyone trying to steal my help. Believe me, I get a lot of people that come after me that want me to help them with creative real estate, partner with them. That's the biggest one. I get people come and say, how about if we partner? I'll do all the work for free. I mean, you did that, right? And I say to you, why would I want to do that? I don't need you. What do I need you for? To bring me a deal? I'll give you $500 or $1,000 to bring me the deal. I don't need you to partner with me.
Yeah. No, I actually said, I didn't even want to partner. He says, I'll work for free as long as I learn how to do it. And I don't care. Whatever you need, you get. But the next thing I did, which no one else has done, which is why I'm the only one still here, is I asked you what you needed.
Yep.
And I got us on a radio show.
Yep.
Because I don't believe in just sucking things dry, because that doesn't work. And that's why we're still here, because I help you, you help me.
Your exchange is a dynamite. Your exchange with me is dynamite. And it has nothing to do with, a lot of times it's just listening to me complain. You know? I mean,
yeah,
really.
but that's important. You need a sounding board. I can just let you talk, and you'll figure it out, and then I'll say something, then you'll figure it out, and then you'll figure it out, and then we're fine. But that's what a lot of people don't know how to do. And it's not just real estate. It's just in friggin' life. Jesus Christmas. Go.
And if you do that for your sellers, you'll have more sellers. So I don't give a quarter to anyone trying to steal my help or is not sincere about how I can contribute to them or their cause. If they don't see my value after a few minutes or after an hour or after a couple conversations, see ya. They aren't of the same values of me. If they don't see my value, what I can bring to them and how I can help them, whack them. Bottom line today, destroy your fake social veneer or party personality. You know, that personality you put on when you go into a group or a party and you're like, they don't know you. You're just faking it. Be honest. Know your boundaries, standards, interest, and mission. Be passionate about it. Feed it life. Give it your attention. And everything else, after a while, will align to it. And if it doesn't, don't accept it. It's okay to do that. Protect them as if they were the only oxygen you have to live. Go through life meeting people and aligning those people to your core values, and help those that desire your life, your abilities, your attention, and your force. Yep. And you will soon watch everything start to fall in place. Most definitely, sellers will start to treat you differently. You will be liked and respected and make deals. This I promise. A bit profound today, but it's true.
No, I totally concur.
All right, so I put a link in the description to a book. I'm not going to tell you who wrote it. I'm not going to tell you anything. Just go get the book. I think it's a paperback book. I think it's $10 or $13. And you could get who I got this material from. You know him because I've talked about him before. I'm not going to promote it. I'm just telling you that go get the book because it will help you with these things I'm talking about.
Yep.
Make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you like us. Make sure you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies and check out all the free stuff. And if you have any questions or need my help, go to support on the Flipping Houses for Rookies website, and I will answer your questions personally. See you at the next, see you if you're here, or meet you at the next podcast, which is going to be episode number 305. Over and out. Have a good week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.